What is going on, Comic Fam? It's your boy, the Bearded Comic Bro, and I am joined by Comic Tom and Fire Guy Ryan. Welcome to the show, my friends.
How's it going, man? This guy just freaking comes in here and takes up half the damn table.
He bullies me.
I'm just getting sick of it, man. We've been writing this comic book for like upwards of a year, and I'm at my wit's end.
Listen, I've done enough shows with Ryan that I understand being frustrated with Ryan. So
it takes patience. You know what I mean?
My
You
way
have
or the
to-
highway, you know?
Yeah, you have to like wake up in the morning and you got to really think like, you know what? It's not. A lot of people talk about motivation. It's not motivation. It's discipline, and you have to have that discipline working with this guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you wake up choosing discipline. Ryan wakes up choosing violence. So
Exactly.
you've got to figure it out. You've got to figure it out.
We've been trying to figure it out, and after about a year, I feel like I have moved 5 steps forward, but 2 steps back. But I'm still 3 steps forward because of math. You know?
Then that checks out.
Thanks.
So you guys have a comic book. We're going to talk about the comic book. We're going to talk about, just all you guys do with the comic community. But before we do, I always like to ask my guests this one question. And it is, why is I Think You Should Leave the greatest show on TV, and what's your favorite sketch?
Ambush. This is an entirely I Think You Should Leave focused.
We're not even going to talk about the comic book.
We tricked you. We should do that someday though. Oh man.
I've seen a couple episodes of
Tom has seen
the
a couple.
I can say I have seen
Can't
it.
stand it, but he's seen a couple.
It's okay. Here's the thing with this show. It's like kind of funny. And I totally understand why someone would like something that's kind of funny. It's just like recycling. I'm glad it makes you feel good, but it's still not helping the environment. Well, I'm glad you like this kind of funny show.
Sure.
I'm proud of you, Ryan.
Thank you.
And our bearded friend.
Yes.
Hey, that's what it is. So I had to ask, because it's obviously a long love for Ryan and I, and there's been through the rumor mills that you find it inadequate. So I had to call you out on it.
The right one. That's all.
Well, I'm not the only one too. Heron Heavens has
She loves that
brought
show.
on that show a few times. Like
Gemini Collectibles is a big fan of that show.
So I've watched it too. I'll go through it
I think you're
again.
just wrong, and you just don't know it yet. Is what it is.
You have absolutely sent me more than one skit
Mhm.
that I thought was, dude. I hit it with an LOL. I hit it with an emoji like.
You hit it with a thumbs up, which means
Thumbs up.
I didn't watch this, but thanks for sending me this video.
I appreciate you.
You're
I know
sending
your
me.
tricks. I know your tricks.
This is some gotcha
We're
journalism.
creating a good comic book together. Can you
feel
see this creative working
It's
relationship?
that's the beautiful thing about it, right? As writers, you have different opinions. You guys can fight and argue, and it's a beautiful connection. I love it. So how did you guys get into comics? Like, just as a fan, like, have you always loved comics?
He has more or less always loved comics. It's definitely a much later thing for me. I grew up as a movie, TV, video game kid. Discovered
No.
comics more in like college.
You're into movies and video games as a kid, Ryan?
I was in all of them too.
People are going to be shocked.
I know.
Right.
Did you play Nintendo?
I did play Nintendo. It's a video game company that makes video games called like Mario.
What was your favorite Nintendo game, Ryan?
Did you write Peaches?
No. I also still haven't seen that movie.
I haven't
I'm
either.
the only person in the world. Have none of us seen it?
I haven't seen it yet either.
Impressive. Okay. Well, good job, guys.
Well done. All right, interview's over. We just wanted to let you
We're
guys
good.
know that all 3 of us haven't seen Super Mario Brothers.
And Ryan didn't get into comics when he was a kid. He was into video games and movies. But yeah, I definitely was into it early life because I struggled with reading growing up. Not necessarily like the ability to do it, but like the motivation. We chatted about the motivation and the discipline earlier in the stream.
See?
You got to wake up and make your bed. You got to wake up and
very
read
important.
your comic books. And that's how I grew up. You wake up, you read your comics. And I don't know, reading was a big thing in my household. My dad was a big fan. Tried to get me to read and to like
Dark Tower, probably.
yeah, he
Your
actually
dad's a
read-
giant Stephen King nerd, which
Dude,
him and I both bond over, but
Skeleton. I think it's called Skeleton Key.
Skeleton Crew, the Stephen
Skeleton
King book?
Crew. Yeah, Skeleton
Short
Crew.
story collection.
Yeah, that's where you get the like I think Children of the
I
Corn.
think Children of the Corn is in there.
Yeah.
No, that's Night Shift.
No, you're right. That is Night Shift.
I'm getting
But,
my
like,
Stephen King short story
it
collection
had
mixed up.
Survivor Type was in
Okay.
that one, which is a really, really good story. But yeah, he would read me those types of things out loud, and that's probably one of the reasons why I love horror movies and stuff so much. Is like as a kid being hit with that like stuff that was way too mature. But we tried reading a bunch of other stuff, and I'd read out loud. I just never got into it. But comic books, that was something easy. So like whenever we go on trips, camping, things like that, you know, he'd bring JLA, Constantine, Hellblazer,
Cool dad.
stuff like that. So I grew up with comic books as like the Tom, do something besides play video games and skateboard, like go do something to work your brain. And I'd be kind of the compromise, you know, read a graphic novel or something like that. So I grew up with it, and a dad who was obviously very impactful.
Right. It's like if you don't read your comic books, you're gonna end up like Ryan, just playing video games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Brain turns to mush.
Feet, you know,
Sniffing feet.
that's what he does.
Yep.
So you guys are obviously writing this comic book. But you guys have been doing YouTube together for the longest time. Since I started doing YouTube, you guys were already doing it. How did this kind of falling into YouTube work for you guys, of getting into comics, liking comics, and saying, you know what, I'm going to devote a lot of my life to talking about comic books on TV screens and computer screens for people?
Yeah, how did that transition happen?
Well,
It wasn't me. He brought me in. He wrote me in on this
I did, but I roped you in very early on.
very early on.
So one of the few talents that Ryan has, because he only has a
couple,
like few of them, but one of the big ones.
One
that
of
he
them
has,
is sleeping.
yeah,
and very good at
which
that.
seldomly helps, but sometimes you need to have someone be a decoy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's always me.
So outside of sleeping, something else that you're really good at is like pretty much anything that you would be trained on in a American Lit class / just English class / editorial class / producing. Like Ryan is really good at spotting mistakes, inconsistencies, and writing in general.
Because I've made so many mistakes. You learn to spot, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he makes a lot of mistakes, right?
Right. That's how I'm so good at spotting them.
That's why you work in comics.
Sure.
So anyways, back in the day, I was, you know, I was working in comics, but doing a YouTube channel just kind of for fun. And serving a small community, because we only had like 1,000 people following us on Instagram, and I wasn't really doing much besides just like being like a general dealer, just like, hey, I'll post stuff about like me and I'll do some like little bits of content, but for the most part, it wasn't produced. It wasn't necessarily edited beyond like the phone editor. And I had this idea for like a couple of shows I wanted to make, like episodes rather. And I did the first couple on YouTube with the teleprompter. So the process, because I was thinking I'd have to like read off of something, you know, that's how people do it, right? You look at the camera, you talk, and you got to read off of it. Because like, who's going to remember everything that you want to say over the course of like 45 minutes? Well, it turns out that's actually what I had to do, is figure out how to like talk on camera with stuff like loosely memorized with a script that I can reference. That's how we do our show now. But back then I was like writing out a whole script, and I realized I should just have somebody's eyes on it, someone who can kind of like proofread it and help out. And Ryan was the first person I called. By the third or fourth video that you helped me with, I just roped you in. I'm like, dude, you want to like be on camera with me? I think it would be a better video. And we made our first video. It was about oddities in comic books and a strange comic that was produced by DC Comics about Jared Fogle and Subway / the JLA. So we broke that comic book down, changed Ryan's life forever, and eventually he would start working full time with me doing this.
So
Thank
Subway
you,
comic was what made Ryan Fire Guy Ryan, was a Subway comic book.
It's my first appearance.
If you think
so
of Jared Fogle, you want to think of fire. I'm just kidding.
Now I want to hunt down that comic so I can own that comic.
That's
Ryan.
funny. I kind of want to own that comic too. We did burn it. We had it. We read it. We talked about it, and then afterwards we lit it on fire.
Oh, we did. We lit it on fire.
Yeah.
Dude, I forgot we did that. We
Fire
actually
Guy Ryan, man. We burned that thing.
We burned it.
It didn't burn very well, but we burned it. It's imbued with dark powers.
That's
Wow.
so cool. We did a whole about
It's on
that.
Instagram.
Just tell me you didn't burn that KFC Green Lantern book, and I'll be okay with it.
Oh, no.
no, of course.
Green
We
Lantern.
love it.
That's
We love
good.
KFC. Underrated.
So you, as I said, you guys have been doing YouTube now forever, and then in comics forever. You doing the interviews, you've done shows, you're doing all this. Where did this idea to like, let's make a comic book start and formulate?
I mean, really, it started with opportunity for me. I was becoming pretty close friends with artist Ben Templesmith, and we had done a few variants together, and he lived out here in Washington. So he was like the first creator that I like beyond business, just like befriended and like hung out with. Like we just got drinks and stuff, and like went to his place and just hung out. You know, his wife's playing video games. We're over here like, we're gonna go get some dinner, you know, like it was a good time. And
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
Sounds like I would have loved to hang out with you guys.
Dude, if you weren't so freaking weird all the time.
I was working graveyard. That's what was happening.
That's
I was
right.
working every night while you guys were partying.
Dude, and while Ryan was working for the first couple of years, not in comics, This guy would be working like 10-hour shifts, 8-hour shifts in Seattle, which is like 40 minutes away from here at best. This dude was like, you had bags under your eyes. You always looked like you were in a haze.
Still am.
You were going really slow, and you talk slow.
I said it's the job. It's because of the job. It's not me.
And it turns out it wasn't.
That's just how I am.
It's just how you are, dude.
Yep,
and we love you for it, but it's okay.
Thank you.
No, but for real though, it was crazy. But back then, just hanging out with Ben, and it just kind of came up in conversation. I'm like, dude, that's some like cool ideas for comics. I would love to do a comic one day. And he's like, dude, we should do one. I think it would be great. So he was down to do it, but it wasn't something that was going to like run to do just yet, because at that time, if you're going to produce a comic, you're just doing it yourself. Like you're doing a Kickstarter at best. I'm not a big fan of doing Kickstarters myself. Got nothing against it, but I would much rather try to fund a project myself and then make it a project so that people aren't at risk to not get what they back, you know, because things happen, right?
Right.
So that was something that was a conversation for upwards of a year and a half. And we're like, dude, we're going to do this and we're going to figure it out. And we had different renditions. There was a point where we were going to go like an NFT route, because there was a point where NFTs were like really freaking cool.
Yeah, you kept trying to tell me about them, and it still doesn't make any sense.
The thing is like the cool ones, the ones that are like legitimate is great, but they were like polluted with all these bad ones that were like fake and worthless. Yeah. So anyways, we were gonna make one that wasn't worthless. That was actually really dope. You would get a comic book and things like that. We'd send you things in the mail. It was like it's a membership through NFTs. But anyways, we also watched that NFT craze die out, and then also realized how like most people don't trust it anymore. So it delayed things even more. Yeah. We ended up going to a convention in Denver covering Whatnot Publishing, the independent company that holds the license for Whatnot proper and produces comic books. And we saw that launch. We covered it. We were so excited because after meeting everybody, they had offered, hey, why don't you bring your comic book? We heard that you and Ben wanted to do a comic. And I'm like, yeah, but like, I don't have anything planned right now. And he says, well, if you start to do it, we can make that happen. So I went back, talked to Ben, like, dude, we have a bunch of ideas. Let's just like nail something down. I figured out what he would like to do, started the process, and then was like, oh, damn, I got to get this guy involved. Like, Ryan, do you want to write a comic? And I don't know, you should take over the conversation.
I said yes.
There you go. That's pretty much it.
That's a wrap, gang. Go check it out. Go check out Crashdown.
Yeah.
It's in previews right now.
Should have, yeah.
So Ryan, how did you get involved then with it? Like, you're more than yes, I want to write a comic.
That's fair. I'll elaborate a little bit. Yeah, Tom basically just reached out after we interviewed all of the Whatnot Publishing creators, and he reminded me that him and Ben Templesmith had been brainstorming on doing a comic book together, and he asked if I wanted to help co-write it with him. And that's kind of how the seed got planted. And then, you know, when you have Ben Templesmith as your artist, you sort of want to make something with some monsters in it, with some creatures in it. And from there, we, you know, built our sci-fi horror story around the strengths of our artist.
True.
Yeah, and that's a wise move to do, right? You know who your artist is. There are certain things that, you know, an artist can do that you're like, man, they can craft something like this real well. So you work to their strengths, right? You're in previews, Crashdown. I don't even know if we had said Crashdown yet. That's how great at interviewing I am. But check this out. You guys are in previews right now. It's called Crashdown. If you haven't heard it, you kind of hinted at it already, Ryan. And if you haven't heard about Crashdown, you don't follow Fire Guy Ryan on social media, because that's literally all that's on right now, and I love it. But what is the pitch? What is the pitch for Crashdown?
Oh, you want me to handle this?
Should I do it with the voiceover?
Oh, you should.
Permission to do it. Okay, here's the thing. We've had this.
Tom's very excited.
We've been going back and forth, and we've done it like multiple times, but I want to try to do it something different. So this is exclusive. We've never done this before, so let's see if I can make this work.
Crashdown is coming. June 5th is FOC. Earth is dead. The sun has died. Humanity must expand somehow. We will follow the next 48 hours of the first attempts of human expansion.
That was pretty good.
That's
not bad, right? That was pretty good. I did that off the cuff, dude. I did it off the cuff.
I don't know if anybody can understand anything you're saying.
It doesn't even matter if they could understand it. It sounded so cool.
It's like Darth Vader.
It sounded cool, or like your child was kidnapped and being ransomed.
I want to hear Ryan's attempt. Explain Crashdown.
Glad we're not live.
Ryan, go.
Crashdown. Crashdown is a horror sci-fi comic that takes place in the future when...
You sound like Noah.
Thank you. That's amazing. Okay. It takes place in the future, right? And you have the sun, it has gone red, which means it's emitting radiation that makes it impossible for humans to survive on planet Earth. So, thanks to various scientific technologies that have been researched and implemented, we load a bunch of human beings onto a spaceship and freeze them like popsicles, and blast them off to a completely different planet. And then once they get there, they're like, hey, we made it. let's send a group of you guys down to the planet's surface just to see what the hell's going on down there. And then they basically all get torn to bits by monsters.
The end.
That was beautiful, Ryan. I'm so proud of you.
Listen, like I've had a good I've laughed on shows before. I don't know if I've ever laughed during a pitch. Like
We're only doing ourselves favors by talking about our books in such goofy terms. But here we go. That was
After
it.
your-
After
after
you
your
can pre-order right now.
yeah, after your 20th interview, you got to spice it up a little bit. Let's be honest.
Actually, I feel like I explained it the most clearly I've ever done. But that voice makes me talk slower.
Because you had to channel your inner Noah. It works.
right.
So,
That was good, dude.
That's the Noah filter.
I like that.
so good.
Yeah,
so
we
good.
appreciate it. Thanks for letting us talk about Crashdown.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
no one else.
normal voice.
Well, the thing is, people don't want us talking about Crashdown. I don't want to get into it too much, but we have some people out there that's trying to prevent us from making this comic book.
It may or may not be from CIA.
May or may not.
Just saying.
So, man, if my channel gets shut down now because we're talking about this, I'm gonna be
I'd
upset.
be worried. But you took the risk, man, because you're a risk taker.
I am. That's what I do. So how did you guys get up with this idea? Like, I mean, people heard what you guys talked about, but like inspiration for Crashdown, where is it?
You know, make the project that you wish existed was a piece of advice that I definitely, it stuck with me. And throughout the entire process, it's been what I like to see, right? So there's a bit of Alien, there's a bit of Lost referenced in here. There's a bit of Battlestar Galactica. It's a mix of dystopian plus just like kind of some of our favorite things in creature horror films.
H.P. Lovecraft. That's my dude.
Yeah,
I gotta do a Lovecraftian horror story if I have the chance to tell a story. It's gonna be Lovecraft first, and then after that, I'll be lost and screwed for ideas. But
well, dude, the first time that we got together, we were brainstorming. You brought over multiple Lovecraft books.
Did you enjoy reading those?
I did. I mean, yeah, it was a couple of them were better than others because they were kind of like,
Yeah.
there's different ways that you can consume Lovecraft. Some of it's kind of dry, and that's the kind of stuff that Ryan likes.
Some of them's on like YouTube videos, probably. Like I didn't like Cliff Notes version. I didn't read this. How does the story go?
But the big thing was the constant planning of crafting a narrative that makes you build the horror in your head, not literally like what you're seeing on the page. It's more about, it's not even really what you're being told. It's about what you're figuring out because of what it has to be. What are they looking at? Because it's so terrible. And describing how terrible it is actually more impactful than going into little details about how scary this is.
He's got the gist of H.P. Lovecraft, which is good. You got it. That's the idea. That's the vibe of all the stories he writes. It's cosmic horror. It's the sense that there's something out there that's way more scary and big than we can comprehend. And human beings are the tiniest, insignificantest little specks of ants who don't matter. And that's very scary.
So we referenced that a bunch, which was, I think, very helpful. We made a lot of just like general goals as we were writing. We'd think of something and not even like about the narrative. I'm talking like, one of the first goals was flex Ben's art. Just always be reminded if we're ever in a situation we're trying to think of something creatively, start thinking about ways that he may surprise us. Maybe lean on him a little bit more because maybe we can do it from a direction that would allow us to see these things that we are hoping that we can see to make it scary. Or building a reveal in a different way. Like there's so many ways to do it. There was even a part of issue 1 where we had concluded it's a big reveal, and we're not going to get into it too much, but like there's a point of it where once you read issue 1, where you'll go, oh snap, something happened, right? And it was so important that we nailed that part of the comic that we actually went back and redid pages. Like art was finished, and we had to change it. And that was based off of a recommendation, not just that we experienced as reading it, because you can't lie to yourself. Like when you're reading your thing and you're like, you're going through your story and something doesn't land right, you can tell it doesn't land right. And we both felt it. Our editor, Michael Calero, shout out, felt it. And then when we brought it to Ben and said, hey, yo, we're gonna have to like pay to do more pages, he's like,
are you talking about page 8?
Yeah, he was like, I called him, like, yeah, Ben, we gotta change it up. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. I totally understand what you're saying.
Well, it makes sense, right? You guys have been reading comics. You guys have been investing in comics for so long that you know what you want or want to see in a comic book, because like you said, if it's not there, you want to create something that's not in the market already and bring it to the direct market there.
Yeah, we're trying to like write something for a general audience for sure, but still itching that creative thing within us that wants to make something very horrific and disturbing that will make people go, ugh.
Well, you and me, Greg, too. You and I are both really big fans of going deep into like the bottom of the previews guide every month and finding like the scraps, the indie stuff that like
the scraps.
I feel like a lot of people are gonna like look, what's Batman up to this month? You know, oh, Spider-Man's got this book. You know, like, yeah, cool, that's fine, I'll get that too. But like, let me see what other people are missing. And that's where our book is. That's where Crashdown is. That's the good stuff, though. That's when you find. You keep telling me I got this like weird spec sense, then I can like pick books that nobody's thinking of, and like that's because you gotta read the whole guide and you gotta see what's in there. You gotta read the good stuff.
I saw the episode where Tom realized his flaw of not listening to us when we talked about AWA Chariot early on in the game, and then boom.
Yeah, added that to my pull list because of Ryan, and then was like, wait, it got optioned. Another one. Dude, you've called a lot of spec.
Greg and I have been beating the drum for AWA like this entire time, basically.
Yeah, but there isn't. Here's the thing, though. AWA does nothing but amazing comics. Like, do you really think of anything that you didn't like? Do you think of anything that you just straight up disliked that AWA has put out?
That's a whole conversation.
So, like, I know, of course, but like that's like you're patting yourself on the back, like, oh yeah, AWA has put out another banger. I told you.
I will pat myself all over the back.
It's like,
yes.
oh yeah,
absolutely.
Oh, did another really great show. You're
Listen.
like, oh, really?
Tom, ever since I was 6 years old, I can make box macaroni and cheese without looking at the instructions. It's not that big of a deal, but I'm still going to gloat that I can do that.
6 cups of water.
See?
Here's old.
You know.
I know.
Talented.
I know. You want to know how I remember that? Because for whatever reason,
1, 2, 3, 4,
one time
6.
I didn't drain the water. And I thought, oh, you just got to mix it in. So I did 6 cups of water, didn't drain it, put all the cheese in there. And I'm like, this ain't working, dude. So it was like, so like, I'm like, well, I guess I'll just have it. It's like a soup, right?
Yeah.
It ain't like a soup. So 6 cups of water. You got to drain the water though.
Drain the water. See, people are getting nuggets of information here that they don't get anywhere else. And I love it.
I really want macaroni and cheese now.
Right?
It's you gotta let it sit for a little bit after it's cooked to let that cheese
soak up the 6 cups of water.
Soak up the cracks, dude.
You gotta let that sit for 6 years to soak up that water. So you guys talked about a lot of influences, Alien, Lost, Ryan, your love for HP. How do you pay tribute and homage, or pull from that without saying like this isn't exactly one of those types of stories? You know what I'm saying?
The one of the things we've been doing a lot of is I think nearly every single character in the book is like named after somebody from a project that we love, and that's like a wink and a nod, a tip of the hat, if you will, to various things that we enjoy without being like, we like Alien. We didn't name any of our characters like John P. Xenomorph or something. It's not that obvious, I don't think, but there are little nuggets in there that if you know your stuff, you'll be able to understand that all of this was pre-planned.
We also do a lot of Googling.
Okay.
Like we'll think of something and go, has that been done? We'd say have a name. Let's check out the name. Let's check out let's make sure we didn't copy something.
Actually, I was trying to think of this. Allison Taylor, our lead character.
Yeah.
We didn't base her name off of anything, I don't think. However, Allison Taylor is the name of the president in season 7 or something of 24.
That's true.
Very, very deep cut reference, but we didn't.
It was on purpose. Ryan loves 24.
We love. I actually do.
24. Well, actually, 24 is great, and
24 is phenomenal.
But check this out. 24 each episode, right? Or is it
Yeah.
each season?
Each
Both?
season is 24 hours.
Each
Right.
season is 24 hours.
Yeah.
Our comic, 3 issues, takes place over 48 hours. It's a very similar concept where it's
Jack
like
Bauer shows up and saves the day too.
Yeah.
Just in the nick of time.
Whatnot is about to announce that they teamed up and got
With Kiefer Sutherland is co-writing this.
I'm gonna do it.
But yeah, there was a lot of like double. Hey, having 2 people on it really kept us in check. I think that if I was doing this by myself, or possibly vice versa, I don't want to speak for you, but
I'm not
there
gonna
would be
read
a.
myself.
I would constantly be going, these are the things I'm thinking of. Here are my questions. Are these bad ideas? / am I ripping somebody off that I'm not thinking of? / do I need to come up with something different for my editor? And I'd be having to like lean on them because you second guess everything. A comic is very expensive and you don't want it to be crap. So you got to go through all these different like low-key black holes sometimes. You know, you're going through like dialogue bubbles and trying to figure out if this is even necessary to write, or how you put it on there on the page, or how much there should be on the page. But having Ryan do, you know, both of us going back and forth, we were able to kind of keep each other in check. Hey, I thought this was cool. What do you think? This is why you don't like something. This is why I like something. And all of a sudden we start building something together. And then we look back and go, oh, I don't know if we ever would have gotten to this point without us collaborating in this way. But for sure, sometimes it's like, you know, we'll have an idea of like, oh, this is kind of paying tribute to a movie we like. Yeah. But having a second person checking that work / contributing to it or doing it together, it makes us confident that we're not ripping off anything. You know,
It's like
we're riffing for sure in some areas, but we're definitely not like redoing something that's already been done.
Yeah. What
I
are you
think
gonna
it's
say, Ryan?
co-editors.
Yeah.
We're co-writers, but we're also like the first pass of like, I think if it was just one of us writing, we would have to send all of our ideas off to the editor a lot more often than we do. With Tom and I, we just bounce it back and forth. Once we get the final product, or at least, you know, our first pass of a draft of a screenplay over, then we send it off to the editor.
Yeah, and he definitely does a great job at editing our book, Michael Calera. But I do think, based off of how, I mean, really, there's been edits, you know, like make sure you say the character's first name so they know that later in the book. Like, there's
He's
a lot
published comic creator already, so he knows the stuff that we don't, because this is our first published work. So he brings a certain level of professional expertise.
It's like the mechanics of it, you know what I mean?
We didn't think about, because what the hell, we don't know what the hell we're doing.
You know, like format the pages like this. Make sure that you're thinking about like if this is going to be on an odd page, make sure that the reveal lead up is happening 3 pages before. Like there's little things that you got to think of just for the flow of the book that you don't really experience until you have it in hand. You're kind of taking some risks as you go, but he's done indie books for so many years that he's been a big help. And in addition, I would say that us having this back and forth collaboration that we've done, it's made it so that he's focused more on big picture stuff. Like there hasn't really been much that I was expecting him to go like cut 5 pages of this and rewrite 5 pages.
Right.
Like I was ready for him to say,
the book doesn't work.
yeah, this is just crap, or this is just nonsensical. It doesn't make sense what you're saying here. You think you're explaining this. And it's not.
Down.
Yeah, but it wasn't anything like that. It was actually like, oh, this is good. This even had some notes about like, oh, I didn't see that coming. And it made me feel like not only is he a part of the team, but he's also contributing, and we must be doing something right.
I guess.
You know?
Yeah.
Hope so. Order Crashdown in previews right now.
Yeah, you guys will be the judge of that.
Right. I mean, Ryan, you've already got Mrs. Bearded scheduled to do a comic book review of it. So
I'm nervous.
Oh, awesome. That's really
you should be nervous because
don't be happy, dude. She doesn't like Saga, which is one of the things
Saga's
that
weird. So
yeah,
I get it.
Tom loves Saga. I'm not the biggest fan. I think it's a little, and neither is Mrs. Bearded, which is
and you're shooting in a wheelhouse of demographic that's not going to fit her liking of style of comics, but
great.
She's gonna let you know. So
I kind of don't want her to like it, you know. That's how I know it's a good book.
The people that I've actually shown issue 1 to, at least, you know, like, within the inner circle, like family and stuff, I show my dad and stuff like that.
My brother,
yeah, your brother's read it. You know, I had Hair in Heavens take a read, and there's parts of it where she's like, I think she's like, oh, that's really messed up. Like I've had some people say that, like they were kind of surprised that we went as dark as we did at times. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's
what we're trying to do.
That's what we're trying to do. Because consider this, we're working with, yes, it's Whatnot Publishing, which is an indie company, but we're working with Whatnot proper as well. You know, Whatnot Publishing as a brand is a multi-billion-dollar company. So like we're doing something that I don't think many people would expect. We're doing horror sci-fi. We're gonna be splitting people in 2, and it's about to get really messed up. and we're going to go as far as we know it makes sense for what we're releasing and as for our first launch, you know. My first attempt at a script that I had Ryan read,
I remember
it was really messed up, right?
it's like a little too messed up.
It was too messed up.
I didn't even like it.
And I got a lot of those, dude. I got a lot of like, hey, this is the big reveal, and it's like, it is gross. And I'm thinking,
You
no,
can't tell it though. You got to save it because maybe that's the
You
next
never
thing
know.
you do. Yeah, you got to keep your ideas.
Are you guys in the process of writing this comic? You know, are you harder on yourself as people who review comic? Like, I know, like Ryan, all you got to do for Ryan is just get a book on his pull list, and he's gonna end up reading it, even if he hates it because he has to complete it. But
Exactly.
but like, because you guys review comics so much, are you harder on yourselves or in the process, or you think not really? You can separate the two.
harder. I don't feel like we've been hard on ourselves the entire process because I don't speak for you, Ryan, but my brain's been so in it to like actually get it done and to accomplish the task of hitting deadlines and making the covers and planning out issues and mapping out future issues and ideas. I've spent more time on the other end of it of just like in full creative mode. However, there have been many times where I'm like, Ryan, is this crap? Like, was that idea bad? And I'm sure I've had there's a lot of bad ideas that I've had in this comic that didn't make the cut, but I think we've done something special here because I after rereading it and going through it over and over again and seeing reactions, I'm like, I'm proud of what we did. I'm actually really excited to debut this book.
I gotta say, yeah, I kind of agree. I feel like I thought there would be more, uncomfortableness, discomfort with this entire process. I thought that I would end up kind of hating what we did or hating what you did, or like, oh, this page art by Ben Templesmith sucks. Let's redo all this. But like literally, like the entire time, it has been like suspiciously smooth.
Yeah,
like I'm very on edge and kind of paranoid that something's going to go wrong with this whole thing because I feel like right now, up until now, everything has gone very well.
Dude, it's going well. It's in previews right now. We have 3 issues coming out. We've been granted a one-shot that will conclude volume 1.
Has that been announced yet?
I haven't said
You might
it
just
yet.
be breaking news.
I may be breaking news right now, but yeah, we have the overall tale of Crashdown is going to take place in volumes that consist of like a limited number of hours, so that we're forced to tell the story of an event, not necessarily a story about it's more about a moment in time rather than like weeks or a long narrative. It's just gonna be 48 hours or something like that. That's kind of like the working idea of all the Crashdown narratives that we have locked in. And we're definitely going to be exploring different parts of the universe, Earth, the planet that we're going to go on. We have a lot of different ideas, but the current plan is that we have a volume 1, which will take place within 48 hours of their landing, or the first scouting crew on the planet Empyrean. And then we will have a one-shot that we're going to surprise people with because it's going to be part of volume 1, but just in a unique way.
You mean like volume 1 as in like the collected trade paperback after it's all done? Is that what you're thinking?
I would imagine that it would fit inside of there. Wouldn't you say?
I would hope so.
Because it's like it's volume 1 and then a one shot that will not. We don't want to get into it too much, but it's going to be a nice graphic novel size worth of story for like the first arc that we do, and then we have volume 2, 3, and so on that we're hoping to do.
So you guys have volumes outside of this that you're hoping to explore a lot more in this world.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's actually been a big surprise to us. At least for me, I was thinking we'd just do like one volume of this thing. And by the time we went through all of the ideas and then nailed down what we think the story is going to be, there's so much story that isn't being told that I want to tell.
A little disappointing. Yeah. Like because we're limited to just the first couple days of these people's journey onto this new planet. There's certain things that we had to leave out. Like, what was their journey to this planet like? Did something happen on this ship while they were journeying from Earth to the planet Empyrean? What happens on the ship while our crew is down on the planet's surface? We do get into that throughout the course of the book.
True.
But there's always room for more. And, again, since this is only 3 issues, this is only the first few days after they arrive there theoretically could be plenty of time after that, to tell more stories down the line, depending on, whether or not various people make it through the end of the book.
I love it. So as 2 people who are constantly doing podcasts, constantly doing YouTube, are you guys going to do like some sort of director's cut after the books are out of talking about some of those little like nods that you said like people aren't going to get to know, and like say like, oh, did you catch this, and kind of thing, and explore a little bit more when you can spoil stuff because people have read it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, we're gonna be doing breakdowns of the issues.
Good idea. I never thought about that. That's a good suggestion there, Greg.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely something on the slate, because we're gonna wait for the book to come out,
Right.
and then we have behind the scenes. I want to get Ben involved, get his commentary on the process. Maybe have Michael come on board. He can validate some of these stories. We can get into it about the covers that he changed that I love that you didn't want to have happen. So now we have both happening, which is really cool.
Oh yeah, the upside down thing.
Yeah, initial issue 1, it's right side up, and then Michael had an idea to turn it upside down, and I really liked it upside down. But then that made an imbalance because Ben was indifferent and Ryan liked it right side up. So we've actually had a compromise, and it really wasn't a disagreement. It was just we're just poking fun. Talking about it.
Pretty vehemently opposed to the idea of it being upside down. I think it works way better with her face. You can see her face clearly.
This guy.
You can see the lightning bolt and the tentacle and the reflection of her visor much more clearly when she's right side up.
Dude, we did like a poll on Instagram, and it was like split down the freaking middle. People loved it, so I just thought it was a fun thing.
There's a variant. There's a variant with the cover upside down too. So if you do want it that way, you can have it either way or both.
And it'll be low print, by the way. But anyways, we're having a lot of fun with it.
Oh, so you can't base it off. Well, you can anyways, because one's a cover. You're gonna have everyone buy a cover anyways,
which means I win is what
Yeah, but watch people want the upside down version more.
Sure, it is more rare. It's a virgin variant. I mean, there's reasons.
Yeah, it's priced up a little bit too. I think it's like $6 or something like that. So,
correct.
So when that one blows cover A out of the water in value, then you'll know that this was the better cover.
Sure, it's on the inside that counts.
That's true.
I mean, listen, I've already pre-ordered my A cover. I'm waiting to get some. I'm sure I'm gonna get a cool variant cover in my ComicTom mystery mail call. So
that's right.
So I've got those coming. I've got my bases covered.
Yeah,
has Butch gotten to see the show? Has Butch gotten to see the book yet?
Butch has been an integral part of the creative process.
Dude, this cat is like the most needy animal in the world.
He's basically on the keyboard every time we're writing. There's photographic evidence of him actually in my lap on the computer while we're trying to type this thing out. And
sometimes he'll type something, we got to erase it.
Oh yeah, sometimes we'll leave it in. You got good ideas.
Yeah, there's like I think it was like page 5.
You did a whole scene.
He's
a good boy.
But we're not crediting him because he's a cat and he doesn't understand.
He works for free.
I mean, naturally so. As longtime comic book readers, how cool was it when you got that issue of previews to see your book in it?
I still don't it still doesn't feel real. Like I have a copy. I snagged one from the comic shop and I've got it in my apartment right now, and I'm gonna go home and probably look at it again. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't feel real. Especially when you're going on like pull box. Like I order my comics, online every month. And it's just there. And to see your own name in there too, and your cover art that you've been looking at this whole time. And we have I didn't even notice until yesterday. We have a preview. Like you can flip through like the first 6 or 7 pages on previews right now. Just get a little sample of the book. They're using the older versions of the first few pages of our book. So it's not gonna be the final version of the comic you'll actually get. It's not an accurate preview.
But if you have the previews digital, well, you can see the preview in the previews.
There you go.
Previews in the previews. Yeah, it's not the final. It's still got tweaks, Yeah, we're second guessing ourselves nonstop.
What I do best.
So we went back and we want to be really proud of it. So we've had a couple revisions since then, but that's good stuff, man. We're having a blast doing it.
How do you know when you're like, all right, I've revised it enough? This is as good as it gets. Because I feel like you could continually do that. You're tweaks and make how you just say no. We're good. Does the deadline do it to you, or do you finally just say no?
Deadlines help. They
definitely
help.
Yeah. No, it ends up being deadline because you have to get together or rather we do, because we don't do any writing over the phone or anything remotely. We do a lot of work in person. We thought we would.
We thought we'd be able to meet up and go yeah, here's the outline. We'll write 2 pages. I'll write 2 pages. We'll come back. We'll touch base. But no, it's got to be side by side at the computer, together. Yeah, this has been a joint process the whole time. And yeah, we write the script. We send it off to Ben, and he sends us back our thumbnails. We're waiting on the sketches right now for issue 2 for the interiors, and then we'll go back again, read the script with the art, make sure everything kind of matches up, and I'm sure we're going to change something at that point, tweak something, move some bubbles around, delete some text. I tend to overwrite quite a bit, so we'll see how it feels. But it's a give and a take.
I love that though, hearing that the behind the scenes of because I've had writers on where they co-written books and it's we'll do 2 pages, they'll do 2 pages, we'll kind of fix it up here together and it works. You guys are like, no, we're right beside each other, working, typing up right there.
I don't know how people do it, man, because unless you have a very linear story,
Yeah,
and you have it really mapped out, like for our stuff, maybe it's just because
maybe our outline's too loose.
I mean, well, our
know?
outline was loose, but like also the we have 3 different locations that we're writing a 3-issue series about.
Okay.
You know, we're doing time jumps and we're doing
It's a little complicated.
I mean, it's actually pretty complicated. That's actually one of the things that Ben gave us compliments on. He's like, yo, you wrote like a complex story and you're going back to issue 1 with this, and that ties in with issue 2 here.
It's influenced by loss, so there's flashbacks.
Yeah,
There's got to be flashbacks.
So
that's going to be your saving grace when Mrs. Bearded is lost.
Oh, okay. That's why we get along.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're like a sci-fi horror. She's like, but lost, she's in. So you're good.
Good.
So, well, man, I feel like we could talk, because I've been on shows with Ryan where we talk till the wee hours of the night, about just random things, but we've said it before. Where can people get it? When can people order it? When's cutoff? Hit them with it again.
The best way you can support Crashdown is by just hitting up your LCS and ask them to order it. They should have some on the wall and go and pick it up. Do yourself a solid and maybe pre-order some. We have just an outstanding group of artists, from Casey Parsons. Obviously, we have Ben Templesmith variants and cover A's, and
David Mack.
We have a David Mack. Open the order, David Mack. Like, we could have made that an incentive variant. We make it super low print. We put that as an open to order for everybody to be able to get. We have a Johnny Desjardins variant as well. Javon Jordan, Illust Illuminati. Michael Calero did a Metroid Prime homage. Many of these creators and artists are like regular features at conventions we go to. The slate has gotten even more exciting. We have a FOC drop that we're doing. We teamed up with Kevin McGuire. You know him from JLA. We've teamed up with David Mack yet again. We have an Ivan Tao cover coming. Like, we have a lot of stuff in the works, but it's still early in the process. We don't know what the issue 2 and 3 lineup will be in regards to incentives versus retailer variants, etc. But go check out your previews guide, because there's a lot of covers there for you to check out. We even have a blank cover.
I forget about that all the time. We have a blank cover.
We
So
have
you
that-
take it to a
yeah.
con. Ben Templesmith's at every con. Get him to draw some tentacles on there for you.
Yep.
You can order it right now. It's available right now in your previews guide. Go to your LCS. The final order cutoff for issue 1 is June 5th. So after that, you can't order issue 1 anymore.
Yeah, you won't be able to get it unless you want to probably buy it directly from us, because we're going to be buying some too, and we'll be
And it
doing
comes
stuff.
out on July 5th.
Yes, it's
as
going to come
well.
out 2 weeks before San Diego, so I'm really hoping that we're going to be able to team up and like really bring the heat at San Diego Comic-Con.
We'll both be there.
Yes, we're going to fly
My
right
first
down
time.
there. Be a great
First
time.
time.
My first time at San Diego Comic-Con. As a
So
creator.
are you
And
guys
he's
once
viewing his comic?
you have that's a comic nerd's dream, right? Like,
I haven't
hey,
thought of that far
just-
ahead. Yeah. I'm just too anxious about how hot it's going to be. But yeah,
It's fine. Hotels have air conditioning. You'll be fine.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So are you guys planning on hitting more comic? I mean, Tom, I know you go to Comic Cons all the time. Are you guys planning on gonna do any tabling at cons and stuff like that, or to promote more in the summer? Or
I'm going to be going to Dallas in 3 weeks.
okay,
So I think I have some Crashdown stuff up my sleeve that I'm going to be dropping. Can't get too much into it, but
yeah.
follow and whatnot. We're going to be doing some fun stuff on there. Then we have San Diego the following month, a month and a half. So that's going to be the debut of the book.
Nothing there in between that and New York. When's New York?
I don't-
October?
I
New
don't
York's
know.
October
Like,
or
at this point,
September, I think, isn't it?
It's October. So
Because it's
Crashdown-
always right around the time Baltimore was.
July, August, September.
I
So
think New York's normally in October.
I don't know if
the
there's a-
schedule's still messed up because of the pandemic.
it's in October. I got to check to see if there's a con in August. I
Because
don't
by
know.
then the series will be done.
Yeah, September is the issue 3, and then October, I think the convention's within a month. It's like 3 weeks after issue 3 drops. So we're going to be celebrating issue 3 at the con.
Yeah. Nice.
So
Well, I always at this part ask how can people find you, follow along? But I mean, if they're watching my channel, they know who you guys are. But where can people find you?
ComicTom101 everywhere, and
Fire Guy Ryan, all one word on Instagram with no spaces in between the letters.
indeed.
So good, gentlemen. Thank you both taking some time to talk about comics with me. Giving the best pitch for Crashdown ever. I mean, so good.
I appreciate you,
Yeah.
man. Thanks for letting us be a little silly.
Yeah.
we did a lot of recording today.
It's been a long day.
It's been a long day. Yeah, we did like a Whatnot stream and we recorded with Jim Mint before this. So we hope we brought enough energy for you because we're really excited to talk about the book. We really appreciate the time that you're taking to market that it's even happening. It's tough, yo. It's tough to get it out there for people to know that like this kind of stuff is available. So it means the world that you're taking the time. So
Absolutely.
very grateful.
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to check it out. Always a pleasure to talk to you both. But gang, I'll have links to everything. I'll have the FLC codes, diamond stuff, all that in the description of this video. Description of, if you're listening on podcasts, you can find it there as well. But with that being said, hopefully you can find some time to curl up, grab a book, and nerd out.